The race for the seat of Speaker heats up the House of Representatives. Senate to probe unremitted 6 trillion Naira ground rent. And later on the program,
I was not born a senator. I was born as Surajudeen Ajibola Bashiru. And of course, this is not the first time I'll be transiting from one position to the other.
The spokesperson of the 9th Senate will give us the scorecard of the upper legislative arm. You're watching the Hallowed Chambers on TVC News. I am Tijesu Adil. The National Assembly is now busy with intense politicking ahead of the inauguration of the 10th National Assembly. In the House of Representatives, the attention is now on the seat of the Speaker, as everyone is keenly watching to see who occupies that highly coveted seat. This time around, it seems the All Progressives Congress will also have its say about who gets what and how. Joke Adisa tells us about the intrigues and power play ahead of the inauguration of the 10th National Assembly.
But for a few supplementary elections, Nigeria's electoral umpire, INEC, is almost done with the 2023 general election. As at the last count, figures released by the Commission showed that the APC, as the nation's governing political party, has 162 members in the next House of Representatives, while opposition parties, including the PDP, Labour Party, ABGA, SDP, and ADC, share 166 members. What this connotes is that it may not likely be a walk in the park for the APC choosing who leads the 10th National Assembly. The fear is that a repeat of the 2011 and 2015 scenarios where elected members kicked against the choices of the party does not recur. While the APC has yet to indicate its zoning direction, many returning members have started plotting their graphs for victory. Deputy Speaker Ahmed Idris and the Chairman House Committee on Appropriation, Aliyu Betara, topped the list of those eyeing the speakership seat. Both won their 5th terms into the House of Representatives in the last election. Already, the Deputy Speaker has kick-started consultations with states in a bid to solicit their support. Benjamin Carlo is the spokesman of the 9th House of Representatives, and he has joined the race for the exalted seat of Mr. Speaker. He is the last man standing in Abia State on the platform of APC after the Labour Party swept 6 of the 8 federal constituencies in the state. The PDP also has 1 seat. It tells me the qualities that should stand out for the man the cap fits.
This is a knowledge-based institution. It's not something that you just wish away based on region and based on religion. Those are fantastic indicators that must be considered. Those are factors that must be put into consideration with regards to national cohesion, national loyalty, as well as unity and for the progress and peace of our nation. Beautiful. But beyond that, what happens to merit? What happens to competence?
Eke Abejide is returning to the House for the 2nd time, and he also speaks on the character and personality of the next Speaker of the House.
The character we are looking for is this character that is being exhibited by the current Speaker. That is competence, accommodation, liberalism, and ability to coordinate people from different parties.
Salman Idris is a newbie in the House. He adds his voice to the conversations around who leads the next House.
We've not been inaugurated, but we're beginning to network with each other. And I can confidently tell you, we will need a leader that has capacity. You're going to lead a house of diverse culture, beliefs, and even party affiliations. But we have one common goal: to develop the country, to move the country forward.
There's also the gender perspective to the contest, as a returning female member has now shown interest in becoming the Deputy Speaker of the 10th House. Adewumi Oriyomi Ononuga from Ogun State believes female parliamentarians should be allowed to show the stuff they are made of.
What is good for the goose is good for the gander. I really believe that this is the case where all parties should put their money where their mouth is. If you do not believe in the bills that were brought to the House, and a lot of people were against it. At least show in this case that even if you do not do twinning, you need to have some of the offices for gender consideration. I mean, if we have a male speaker, let's have a female deputy speaker.
Others in the race include youthful Plateau State legislator, 42-year-old versatile lawmaker Yusuf Gagdi, whose campaign posters now adorn the headquarters of the APC. Yusuf Gagdi, like Benjamin Kalu, believes they represent the bridge between the old order and the young.
Fresh kind of leadership style that will give comfort to a particular demographic, especially the youth, who has always believed they were just change, that we kept saying not too young to run, and we kept saying that the future belongs to them. Here is the future.
Ranking lawmaker Sada Soli from Katsina State has also thrown his hat in the ring. The fate of Kano lawmaker and majority leader Al-Azan Adodogua, who before now indicated his readiness to occupy the speakership seat, still hangs in the balance as his election is yet to be concluded. Others in the race for the deputy speaker, like Adeomiori Yomi Onuga, are Olaide Akinremi and Akim Adeyemi, both from Oyo State, Timeyin Adelegbe, Abiola Makinde, and Tunji Ojo from Ondo State, and Olufemi Bamishile from Ekiti.
President Muhammadu Buhari's social investment program is off to a good start as the Senate passed a bill that seeks to institutionalize the National Social Investment Program. The bill passed third reading after its report was presented by the Committee on Special Duties.
The agency will ensure more equitable distribution of resources to the vulnerable population, including youth, women, persons with disabilities, and vulnerable senior citizens.
The insecurity we face in Nigeria can be attributed to very high level of poverty. And the truth is, leaders at all levels have the obligation, not only federal government, have the obligation to work to ensure that we reduce or alleviate poverty amongst our citizens.
An allegation of unremitted 6 trillion naira has forced the Senate to constitute a 7-member ad hoc committee that will investigate the whereabouts of the money and recover it for the federal government. This was the outcome of a point of order passed by Senator Yusuf, representing Taraba Central in the National Assembly. He says there was a bypass of payments accruable to the federal government by the Federal Ministry of Works and Housing.
The Senate notes that Section 49 subsection 1 and 51 subsection 2 of the Land Use Act vested ownership rights of the federal government over its land in state territories. The right includes the power to control and regulate town planning and physical development in relation to such land, and by extension, prescribing and collection of any tax, fee, or rate.
I distinguished Senator Hallowed Jika. Say aye. The ayes have it.
The House of Representatives has approved the Presidential Declaration Order 2022, designating 10 named parks with the status of national park.
President communicated in writing requesting the concurrence of the House on the 10 new national parks.
I am worried because in this concurrence that is being sought, there has not been provision or knowledge regarding the framework for the effective management of those parks.
The idea of what they do with the reserve is the exclusive right of. We should not give to self the power we don't have. The law says, "Let not concede ad impossibilia."
You're still watching the Hallowed Chambers, and if you're just joining us, we are having with us the senator representing Osun Central, Senator Ajibola Bashiru, who is also the spokesperson of the Nigerian Senate, the 9th Senate. It's good to have you on the program.
Yeah, nice to be here too.
So let's begin. The 9th National Assembly is winding down, and a lot of focus now is on the new set of legislators that would come in. But what would you say are the achievements or the credible achievements of the 9th National Assembly in its lifetime?
Yes, the 9th Assembly has been a stabilizing factor in Nigerian politics. And in terms of the mandate of the National Assembly, which is, basically, three. One, to make law for the good order of the country. And it is in the process of that lawmaking that you also have money bills, which we call the Appropriation Act, that colloquially is referred to as budget. Then, of course, oversight function so to ensure that the funds appropriated are utilized in an efficient manner and in a way to ensure that corruption is eliminated. And thirdly, particularly peculiar to the Senate, to ensure that appointments by the government is also confirmed. So in assessing the 9th Senate, you have to look at these three parameters. In terms of lawmaking experience, first, in terms of Appropriation Act, the 9th Senate, part of the legislative agenda of the President, Ahmed Lawal, is that we want to revert back to January to December budget cycle. And consistently, since the advent of the 9th Assembly, we have remained fidel to that promise. So you have a predictable budget cycle in that regard. Secondly, we also have been able to come up with impactful legislation in all sectors of the Nigerian society. Democracy is very essential to good governance. The Electoral Act 2022, you have also seen the tremendous achievement that it has brought to our electoral system in Nigeria in terms of the use of technology and, of course, trying to reduce the incidence of multiple voting and some other unsavory experience in the Electoral Act. Even though we are not yet there in terms of our elections, but that has been a remarkable improvement in that regard. So in terms of lawmaking, the 9th Assembly has made tremendous progress. In terms of oversight function, we have also been able to use our oversight function in order to advance the development of the country.
All right, distinguished. 16 bills out of 35 bills have been signed by President Muhammadu Buhari that was transmitted recently to him. And these are considered major accomplishments of the National Assembly as well. And they are also considered legacy bills. Can you take us through these legacy bills? Because some of them we understand that it grants financial autonomy to state assemblies and also the judiciary, and also mandates the president-elect and governor-elect to, nominate their members of their cabinet within a 60-day period, which is something we've not seen before. So take us through these achievements and why they are considered
the bills that were worked upon by the 9th Assembly through the Constitutional Review Committee, of which I'm a member. I represented my states on that committee. Were actually more than 35. But the states who are expected to pass with a 2/3 majority of the states refused to even attend to some of the bills, which are also equally impactful. So as we're talking about the 16 bills assented to and 35 cents to the president, we also need to talk about the importance of some of them that have not been considered by the state. Like, for instance, that one on local government autonomy is very important. You discover that our local government administration in Nigeria is in serious comatose. And that is actually even more of an albatross for some of us who are National Assembly members. Because of failure of that level of government, you see a lot of demand being asked from National Assembly members, construction of roads, dredging of road, refuse collection, and so on and so forth, which are really a work of the local government. So we want to implore our state government to still look at those other bills that they have not attended to, because they will definitely deepen development and progress of our country. And as to those that have been assented to by Mr. President, there are some that are very profound, like, for instance, devolution of power in terms of power generation transmission and distribution, even in areas covered by national grid. We believe that viable states should be able to make use of that to attract private investment in that sector, and then to be able to ensure that we have resolve the problem in the energy sector in Nigeria. And I believe that the incoming president would also support the states to be able to utilize that very important constitutional devolution of power. You will recall that when he was the governor of Lagos State, he made an attempt to bring Enron to ensure participation of the state in that area. But of course, political decisions of then President Obasanjo frustrated that move. Now that the man is going to be in the shadow from May 29, 2023, and enabled now with a constitutional amendment, we believe that energy sector is one of area that we want Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu to concentrate on in coming to power.
All right, the Senate has also set up a committee to probe an alleged unremitted 6 trillion naira ground rent accruable to the federal government by the Federal Ministry of Works and Housing. Now, everyone is glad that the Senate has taken this step to investigate what actually happened. But the question now is, how did this happen? And how was this allowed to linger for so long, being that the National Assembly is supposed to be conducting oversight functions on these ministries, and yet we have an alleged 6 trillion naira unaccounted for?
I wouldn't know what period of time those 6 trillion are accumulated. So we do not be able to give a temporal dimension to it. But the gratifying thing is that it was discovered that there was an accrual, and then the National Assembly has taken the decision to it. Rather than going to how did it accrue and what was done for it to have accrued, the fact that the National Assembly, exercising the oversight function, has been able to discover that there's a need to make an intervention, and indeed an intervention is being made in that regard.
We'll go on a short break now. Don't go anywhere, we'll be right back. Glad to have you back. If you're just joining us, you're still watching the Hallowed Chambers, and my guest is Senator Ajibola Bashiru. Thank you for staying with us on the program. Let's talk national politics. The Department of State Service has come out to say there are plots by some misguided politicians, to establish an interim national government. How possible is this even?
I don't know how possible is that, but I'm surprised that the Director of State Security will be coming up with a statement rather than effect arrests of people that they might have been suspecting are seeking to overthrow the government in a manner not contemplated by Constitution. Section 1 of the Constitution of Nigeria, specifically Section 1, Section 2, provide that the country shall be run according to the Constitution of Nigeria, and no person should be able to take over government except in accordance with the provision of the Constitution. So if you have that provision and you have an intelligence arm of the government now coming out and making what I call political statements, I don't think that is good enough. What we would have expected is for them to have been able to have serious intelligence and get those people arrested. Then in the context of not charging them to court, we'll be able to know that yes, this has actually happened. So I expect the DSS to do more than just issue a statement. Then on the issue of anybody contemplating that they want to take over government not in accordance with Constitution, I think that's reasonable. So even the police and all other security agencies should wade into the matter, gather intelligence, investigate, and they arrest and prosecute anybody who is taking those. For some of us who are involved in the pro-democracy struggle against the military, rule, and of course we also bore the brunt of that. I know very well that in 1997 I was one of those expelled by Abacha government using Decree 47, what they call interest of national security or whatever they call it. So it is not acceptable. And when you also discover that most of the problem that we politicians are trying to rectify is accumulated problem of corruption, of bad governance during military rule. So most of our younger elements, particularly who are in their 20s and 30s, who did not witness the atrocities of military, perhaps some of those older politicians may be appealing to them. I will tell you that during a military government, it was government without accountability. It was government without responsibility. It was government of impunity and a government of crash outright suppression of human rights. Not even, students can even protest even within the confines of their campus without, getting arrested, rusticated, and even expelled. So may it never come that Nigeria will go back to the dark days of military dictatorship.
But why would you say, on the part of the political parties and their candidates, why is it so difficult for them to concede and accept defeat?
I think it's attitudes of people when you see political power as do or die affair. Really, if politics is about service, if election is conducted and you feel strongly that the election has infraction that can be litigated upon, one expects that you challenge such election in the court of law, and then you let the court of law to take a decision. For instance, in my senatorial district, I did not win the election. I have strong belief that the state government used strong arms in terms of violence to repress and suppress vote in my stronghold. But then the law says that if I must establish that, I must establish beyond reasonable doubt. As a legal practitioner, I know it will be a serious problem doing that in court. So rather than waste resources of both the states and also the government, I've taken it to court of God and court of public opinion, and also believing that the work we have done will also signal us for higher responsibility and service to our people. But many politicians don't see it that way. And when you look at, with respect, some of the allegations that are even being bandied around by the people who are saying the 2023 election, particularly presidential election, have challenges. They are actually very flimsy. They are actually concocted, and they are not rooted at all in law. And how do you say that somebody who won in 5 states and his opponent did not even get 3 of his other opponents did not even get up to 25% in his domain, is claiming that election is rigged? So election in his own domain, where he got more than 90%, was not rigged. It was the election in other places where he lost and even got up to 25% that is rigged in that regard. Or somebody who is claiming that somebody is not qualified to contest without even on the face of his document showing evidence of conviction. Even by the constitutional provision, even when a person is convicted for an offense body of dishonesty, there's a friction of time after 10 years. And on the face of what you have filed and you are trying to whip up sentiment, is the so-called forfeiture order was 1994. It's actually very ridiculous when you see the kind of argument people made.
Your party won the election and will be in charge of affairs in the executive and the legislative arm for the next 8 years. Now tell us, what should Nigerians look forward to that will be different this time around from this past 8 years?
I think the expectation of Nigerians is that this government need to address certain critical areas that will be able to ensure that the quality of life of Nigerians may develop. I must tell you, there is poverty in the land. We must be able to develop as a government programs, policies properly implemented that address the problem of unemployment, that address the problem of hunger, and that address the problem of homelessness. And in this regard, in terms of concrete program, I think Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu will need to address the issue of the energy sector. You cannot drive any economy without addressing energy sector. Some of the earlier contracts that have been awarded in that sector need to be revisited and ensure that they work for Nigeria. Investment, critical investment, need to be made in the energy sector to ensure that we have the necessary power, if I may use that word, to drive our economy.
Senator Ajibola Bashiru, spokesman of the 9th Senate, you won't be part of the 10th Senate this time around. What is next for you politically? Would you be active in politics, or you are retiring to your private life?
I was not born a senator. I was born as Surajudeen Ajibola Bashiru. And of course, this is not the first time I'll be transiting from one position to the other. I was formerly Commissioner for Special Duties and Regional Integration, and I left that office in 2014. Of course, I went back to my law practice and, of course, teaching in the university and, of course, scholarship. Then I went back in 2017 as Attorney General and Commissioner for Justice. I left in 2018. Then I went back to my law practice and teaching. Then I resigned January 2019 again to contest for the Senate. Now that a new person is taking over in Osun Central Senatorial District, I believe that I have a lot of things I want to do. I will first, by the grace of God, unless maybe I get immediate assignment politically, I intend to go on a very long vacation and enjoy myself. I've been in public service in and out for almost a period of about 12 years. I think I need to spend more time with myself and spend more time with my family. And of course, I'm always available to continue to serve and work for the Nigerian people.
That is all on our program this week. You can watch this episode again on TVC News YouTube channel and also see a repeat broadcast at 7 a.m. on Sunday. Thank you for watching. I am Tijesu Adewi. See you next time.